Hello, welcome to Zigmatech Learning Hub. I'll be your instructor for biology. For this class, we are going to be taking our exercises from the ExamGuide app. Now, if you don't already have this installed in your device, I would like you to download the app in order to follow along in this class. Now, ExamGuide is a leading educational app that helps students prepare adequately for various exams. Exams such as the UTME, the post-UTME, WEAC, GCE, IJMB, KCPE, JUPEB, Reptilia. In the junior sections, we also have the BECE, we have the SSCE, and so much more. Now, you can download the app from www.examguide.com or you visit the Google Play Store to download. Now, please subscribe to our channel and turn on the notification bell to update yourselves on new videos that will be coming up. Now, if you're ready for this class, let's get started. Today, we're going to be talking about classifications of living things, part 4. And in this particular discussion or class, we are actually going to be talking about the PHYLA CHORDATA. Remember, we said that Kingdom Animalia has about 9 particular phyla. We've talked about the Porifera, we've talked about the Colentrata, we've talked about the Platyhelminths, we've talked about the Nematoda, we've talked about the Annelida, the Mollusca, the Arthropoda, and the Echinodermata, which makes it the 8th. This time around, we're going to be discussing the 9th phyla, which is called Chordata. Now, there are several things you are expected to note as objective. Now, by the end of this lesson, you should be able to mention the classes in the PHYLA Chordata. Should be able to mention the classes in the PHYLA Chordata. Number 2, you should be able to outline some of the characteristics of each of the classes in the PHYLA Chordata. Some of the characteristics, we're going to be looking at some characteristics. And you should be able, at the end of this lesson, should be able to do that. Now, number 3 is that you should be able to mention some examples of animals that are found in each of these classes. Be able to mention and identify them. And number 4, you should be able to differentiate among all the classes or each of the classes of classes we have discussed in this PHYLA Chordata. Now, are you ready? Let's dive in. Phylum Chordata. Remember, we said that Kingdom Animalia, they are divided into 2. We have vertebrates and we have invertebrates. And I told you that the first 8, they are referred to as invertebrates, while the 9th phyla in Kingdom Animalia is referred to as a vertebrate. So it means that Phylum Chordata is a vertebrate. Phylum Chordata is a vertebrate. Now, Phylum Chordata is divided into 5 different classes. They are divided into 5 different classes. Number 1, we have what we call Pisces. Pisces. Now, these are mostly these are mostly aquatic organisms. Pisces. They are usually found in water. Number 2 is aves. Aves. They include all birds. Aves. Number 3, we have the amphibians. Now, the amphibians, they live both on land and in water. Amphibians. And number 4, we have what we call reptiles. They are mostly terrestrial. And then number 5, we have mammals. But if we want to look at them in terms of from simple to complex, it should be in this hierarchy. First is Pisces. The second is supposed to be amphibians. The third is supposed to be reptiles. And the fourth is aves before we have mammals. Okay? Now let's start with the first one, which is Pisces. Let's start looking at Pisces. Now there are several characteristics you should take note on the Pisces. And please take note of the words that are highlighted in red color. Please take note of them. They are key words. There are keywords that will help you in terms of your exams. Keywords. Now, the first one is all Pisces are aquatic organisms or aquatic animals. It means they live in aquatic habitat. All Pisces, they live in aquatic habitat. Number two, Pisces are poikilothermic. When we say poikilothermic, another name for it means they are cold-blooded animals. They are cold-blooded animals. It simply means their body temperature changes with changes in the what? Environment. Sorry, their body temperature does not change with changes in their environment. They are poikilothermic. And number three is that they undergo what we call oviparity. They undergo oviparity. Now, oviparity is actually a process by which living organisms, mostly animals, lay eggs or reproduce by laying eggs, or give rise to new individuals after their kind by laying eggs. I repeat, oviparity can be seen as a process by which living organisms reproduce or give rise to new individuals after their kind by laying eggs. They don't give birth to their young ones alive. They lay eggs, and from the egg stage, the eggs starts hatching and sort of like develops and gives rise to a new individual. The next, number three or number four, is that Pisces, they have what we call two-chambered hearts. They have two-chambered hearts. It means that their hearts is divided into right and left, right and left, right and left. There is no other. So we have right part of the heart, and then we have the left part of the heart, okay? Just two chambers of the heart. Number five is that they do not show parental care. It means when Pisces give rise to their young ones, they don't care for their young ones. They abandon them. So they don't show parental care. And number six is that they reproduce sexually. Please take note. All chordata undergoes sexual reproduction. All chordata undergoes sexual reproduction. And another thing again you should take note under chordata is that fertilization is external, mostly in Pisces. Fertilization is external in Pisces. What do we mean by fertilization is external? Now, when a male and a female Pisces come together, they release their egg, the female releases her egg externally, and the male releases his own sex cell externally to fertilize the egg externally. The fertilization is not done inside the body of the organism. No, it is outside the body of the organism. Hence, the word or the term external fertilization. So we have in Pisces external fertilization. Let's look at some examples of the two main types of classes of Pisces we have. Now, we have Pisces can be subdivided into two groups. They are subdivided into two groups. We have what we call the cartilaginous fish, and then we have the bony fish. Cartilaginous fishes are fishes whose skeletons are made up of cartilage. We will be discussing skeletal structure or tissues and supporting systems in organisms or in living things. Then we're going to know more about the word cartilage. So, but take note of this, that cartilaginous fish, their skeletons are made up of what we call cartilage. Examples include the shark, the ray fish, the skates, the dogfish, and so on. As you can see on the diagram there, we have the skate, we have the dogfish, we have the smooth hound, and so on. These are all cartilaginous fish. The next subdivision of Pisces is the bony fish. The bony fish. Now, bony fish, these are fishes whose skeletons are made up of bones. They are made up of bones. Examples of organisms or fishes that are bony or that can be referred or classified as bony fish include tilapia, we have the mackerel, we have the salmon, and so on. As you can see in the diagram, that is an example of a bony fish. Now let's take a look at the next class, which is called aves. The next class, which is referred to as aves. Now there are several characteristics we can see under aves. Please take note of those letters highlighted in red. Now, the reason why I'm saying you should take note of these letters highlighted in red, we can use these letters highlighted in red to sort of like get or derive differences between or among these classes of PHYLA chordata. Okay? Now, number one is they are homeothermic. All aves are homeothermic. What does it mean by homeothermic? It simply means they are warm-blooded animals. Warm-blooded animals, their body temperature regulates or changes with changes in their environment. Body temperature changes with changes in their environment. Number two, all aves are oviparous. Oviparous. It simply means they give rise to new individuals by laying eggs. They give rise to new individuals by laying eggs. Number three, aves have 4-chambered heart. 4 complete chambered hearts. It simply means that their heart is divided into 4 chambers. And these 4 chambers are, we have the right auricle, right ventricle, left auricle, left ventricle. So these are 4 important chambers in the heart of the aves. Number 4 is that they show parental care. It simply means when they give rise to the young ones and the young ones are born, they take care of their young ones. They don't abandon them. And number 5, they reproduce sexually, and fertilization is internal. Fertilization in aves is internal. It simply means that the egg cell of the female is laid inside of the body of the female, and the sperm cell of the male, okay, or the sex cell of the male is introduced inside of the body of the female, and fertilization takes place inside. That is, when we say fertilization, it's simply the union of the female sex cell and the male sex cell. When they unite together, we call that process fertilization. So the union of both sex cells takes place inside of the body of the female, not outside, as in the case of Pisces. Is that clear? Now, next, number 6, is that they possess wings, and these wings are used for what? Flight. Now, let's take a look at an example. We have several examples. We have the parrot, we have the pigeon, which you can see on the screen, we have the eagles, we have the hawk, we have domestic fowls, and so on. These are examples of aves. The next on the line, which is number 3, is amphibians. The amphibia. Now, the amphibia, we have several characteristics we're going to look at. Number 1 is that they are poikilothermic. Remember, we said another name for poikilothermic simply means they are cold-blooded animals. They are cold-blooded animals. Next is number 2 characteristics is oviparity. Oviparity. It simply means that amphibians can give rise to their young ones by laying eggs. Amphibians give rise to their young ones by laying eggs. Number 3 is that they have what we call 3-chambered hearts. They have 3-chambered hearts. It means that they have a right auricle, right ventricle, and then a left auricle. Okay? So they have 3-chambered hearts. And number 4 is that they do not show parental care. So when they give rise to their young ones, they abandon them. They don't take care of them. They don't. Please take note. They do not show parental care. Where you see amphibia and probably Pisces show parental care is only in cartoons. All right. Number 4 or number 5 is that they reproduce sexually, And also fertilization in amphibia is done externally. I would like to explain that again. It is done externally, fertilization. So it means that the male sex cell and the female sex cell fuse together outside the body of the female. You know, during reproduction, a female frog goes to a calm water that is not fast flowing and releases her eggs, okay? And the male frog or male amphibia goes to the same place simultaneously. As the female is releasing her egg, the male amphibia simultaneously releases its own sex cell to fertilize it externally. To fertilize it externally, not inside, not introducing its own sex cell into the female's body. No. Okay? So we call that external fertilization. The next and the last for amphibia in terms of their characteristics is that amphibia, they possess what we call poisonous glands. Not all. Probably the toad possesses poisonous gland, which it uses for what? Defense. It uses for defense. Now let's take a look at some examples of organisms that have, or some organisms that are referred to as amphibia. Number one, we have the toad. We also have frog, we have newt, we have the salamander, and so on. Like you can see on the screen, the screen, we have a frog. As you can see there, that is a frog, okay? Next, in terms of class, is Reptilia. This is the fourth class, Reptilia. Reptilia. Now, Reptilia, they also possess several characteristics. Like I said before, take note of the words highlighted in red color. Now, number one is that they are poikilothermic. It simply means they give rise to new individuals by laying eggs. Reptilia, they are poikilothermic. Also, Reptilia, they undergo oviparity. It simply means, poikilothermic, they are poikilothermic, please forgive me. They are poikilothermic. It simply means they are cold-blooded animals, right? They are cold-blooded animals. That's the first characteristics. They are cold-blooded animals. Number two is that they undergo oviparity. And oviparity simply means that they reproduce by laying eggs. They reproduce by laying eggs. Number three is that they have 4 incomplete chambered hearts. 4 incomplete chambered hearts. It simply means that their body is divided into 3.5 per se. In other words, they have a right auricle, right ventricle, left auricle, and a partially developed left ventricle. That's why we said it is 4 incomplete, partially developed left ventricle. Then we also have number 3 or number 4, which is parental care. Reptiles show little or no parental care. Little or no parental care. And then number 5 is that reptiles reproduce sexually. We have already established this, that all chordatas are sexually reproductive, or they undergo sexual reproduction. So they reproduce sexually, and fertilization in reptiles is done internally. Please take note, it is done internally. They reproduce they fertilize. Fertilization takes place internally. I have said this before. Internal fertilization simply means the male reptile releases its sex cell into the body of the female to fertilize the egg that is inside, or the sex cell of the female that is inside the body of the female. And I have told you what fertilize means, or fertilization. It's simply the union of the both sex cells. And then next, finally, is that reptiles have lungs for what? Gaseous exchange. Reptiles have lungs for gaseous exchange. The last is called, let's take a look at some examples. It includes the snakes. Reptiles include snakes. It includes lizards. It includes crocodiles, turtle, wall gecko, and so on. As you can see in the structure or screen we have there, we have the lizard. Finally, we have the Mammalia, which is another characteristic, which is the last class in phylum CHORDATA. Now, let's take a look at some of their characteristics. Number one, they are homeothermic. It means that mammals are warm-blooded. They are warm-blooded. Number two, mammals do not undergo oviparity. They undergo viviparity. In fact, mammals are the only chordata that undergoes viviparity. What is viviparity? It simply means they give rise to new individuals by giving birth to them alive. They don't lay eggs. Mammals don't lay eggs. They give birth to their young ones alive. They birth their young ones alive. Okay? Number three is that mammals have four-chambered hearts. Now, what do we mean by four-chambered hearts? In mammals, you have a right auricle in the heart, you have a right ventricle, you have left auricle, you have left ventricle. These are four important chambers or rooms that are found in the heart. And then next characteristic is that mammals show parental care. Of course, mammals do show parental care. And number five is that mammals reproduce sexually, and fertilization is also done internally. Fertilization in mammals, please take note, is internally. All right? And then lastly is that they possess lungs for gaseous exchange. Mammals possess lungs for gaseous exchange. Let's take a look at some examples of mammals. We have man, we have the lions, we have elephants, we have tigers, we have rats, as you can see there, we have monkeys, we have goats, and so on. Like we said, we also have man. And when we're referring to man, we're referring to both male and female, or man and woman. Now, lastly, let's look at differences among these chordata. It's very important you take note of this. Now, look at the first one. We said that mode of reproduction. We've talked about in terms of Pisces. We've also discussed about apes. We've discussed amphibia, reptilia, and then mammalia. Now, in terms of Pisces, we said that the mode of reproduction is oviparity. That means they lay eggs. In apes, it is also oviparity. In amphibia, it is oviparity. In reptiles, it is also oviparity. But in mammals, we said it is viviparity. It simply means they do not lay eggs. They give birth to their young ones alive. Number two is types of fertilization. And if you can remember, we have looked at two important types of fertilization. We've talked about external fertilization. We've also talked about internal fertilization. In terms of Pisces, Pisces undergo external fertilization. Apes, which are birds, they undergo internal fertilization. Let me repeat it again. Pisces undergo external fertilization. Apes undergo internal fertilization. Amphibians, they undergo external fertilization. Reptiles, they undergo internal fertilization. And mammals, they also undergo internal fertilization. Number three is chambers of the heart. Chambers of the heart. In Pisces, we have two chambers in the heart. In terms of apes, apes have four complete chambers of the heart. In terms of amphibia, amphibians have three chambers of the heart. And then in terms of reptiles, reptiles have four incomplete, as we have seen in terms of their characteristics. They have four incomplete chambers of the heart. And then mammals, they possess four complete chambers of the heart. Also looking at number four, we have parental care. Parental care. In Pisces, there is no parental care. In apes, there is parental care. In amphibia, we said there is no parental care. in terms of reptiles, we said there is little or no, in the sense that there are some reptiles that show a little parental care before they abandon their young ones, and while in some, there is no parental care at all. So there is little or no parental care. And then in mammals, there is parental care. Lastly, it's number 5, which is temperature regulation. Now, we said that in terms of Pisces, they are poikilothermic or cold-blooded. Poikilothermic or cold-blooded. In terms of apes, they are warm-blooded. In terms of, which is the same thing as homeothermic. In terms of amphibians, they are cold-blooded. In terms of reptiles, they are cold-blooded. And in terms of mammals are warm-blooded animals, which are also called homeothermic. Okay? Now let's take a look at some questions, practical questions, SSCE practical questions from the ExamGuide app. All right? Now let's go to that. Let's take a few of them. These ones are based on classifications of plants. All right, take a look at this. Question 5. An animal which possesses scales, nerves, and backbone is likely to be what? Now, your option can be A. Bats don't possess scales. Yes, they have backbones. Number 2, or B option, is rats. Rats don't possess scales. C, toad don't possess scales. Please take note. Toad don't possess scales. And then the last one is D. D is a lizard. Lizards possess scales. So our correct answer is option D. All right? Let's move to the next. Now look at question 6. In which of the following organism is parental care manifested? Is parental care manifested? If you could remember, we said it is only 2 classes that show parental care. We talked about mammals and we talked about aves. The other classes, they do not show parental care. Now, option A says tilapia, which is wrong. It doesn't show parental care. Option B is a cockroach. Cockroach is not, please take note, cockroach is not part of phylum Chordata. The next one is C, which is toad, and then the next one is D, which is a snail. So in other words, if you look at this, in terms of what we have studied so far, there is no answer to this particular question. Next is okay, take a look at this last question we're going to be considering today. The question says, the diagram below is an illustration of a crocodile. Now remember, a crocodile is an example of a reptile. Now there are 2 characteristic features of the class to which crocodile belongs are labeled. Okay? 2 characteristics to which, remember we talked about several characteristics of reptiles. Now let's look at those characteristics. Now if you look at number 1, they said transparent eyelid. It has nothing to do with transparent eyelids. Number 2, they said eyes at the top of the head. It has nothing to do with reptiles. But look at number 3, scaly skin. An example, we just talked about lizards. Lizards, we said they have scales. Crocodiles is a reptile, also like a lizard. They have what? Dry scales. So 3 is an option. And if you look at all the options we have here, it is only option D that has Roman figure 3. Now let's take a look at Roman figure 4. We said homodont dentition or homodont teeth. Now what is homodont teeth? It simply means that the teeth, they are arranged, they are of the same size, the same shape, and they carry out the same function. I repeat, homodont teeth are teeth of the same size, the same shape, and they carry out the same function. And you can see that mostly in reptiles and in Pisces. Crocodile is a reptile. So option D is the very correct option for this question. We have Roman figure 3 and Roman figure 4. Thank you for participating in today's class. You can practice more questions using your ExamGuide app. The app scores and gives a detailed explanation of all the questions at the end of your practice test. You can also learn particular topics of interest with different modes like study mode, mock mode, and even practice mode. It also has other features that makes learning very fun. Now, it is a must for all serious students. Download from www.examguide.com if you don't have it yet. See you in the next class. Don't forget to subscribe to our channels, hit the notification bell, and share the videos to your loved ones and friends that will benefit from it. Bye for now.